This video is going to be a lot harder for me to make. I knew the carnivore diet was going to be different, but I wasn't expecting this. The mental struggles, the physical pain, yeah, I wasn't ready. Today I'm going to be as real as it gets about my struggles on the first 30 days of carnivore. Let's carve into it. Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to Blood and Butter. When you start any diet, you expect it to be difficult. When you start the carnivore diet, you hear plenty of people talk about carb addiction cravings, the keto flu, the adaptation period, but it's really hard to understand how mentally and physically difficult it can be until you're all on your own and you're right in the middle of it. And I don't just mean the hunger and the energy levels. I'm talking about the mental shifts, the identity crisis, and the feeling of frustration that you're doing everything right, but you're still not where you want to be. In my last video, I said this is the easiest diet I've ever followed. And when it comes to the food, that couldn't be more true. For me, the struggles fell into two main categories: the mental struggles and the physical realities of being almost 400 pounds. And both hit way harder than I expected. This video is going to be a little different. I normally try to write a great script and to produce the best video I can make. But this stuff is hard to talk about, and I want to record where I am straight from the gut. No bullshit, just an honest talk about the stuff that kicked my ass in the first 30 days on the carnivore diet. In the beginning of changing something that's so fundamental about who you are and how you see yourself, it's really hard not to resent where you're starting. And I want to start with this. I took some videos of myself in the very beginning to try to capture where my mental state was at. Let's take a look at some of that. All right. Day one. Doing the carnivore diet. Gotta get this shit solved. You know, I'm watching all these videos of people who have done this carnivore shit for a long time. Man, that jealousy is real. It's so hard to be at the beginning and see these people further along. I want that shit. I want it. How you let shit get this far? I just can't stop thinking about fucking food, like all the time. I'm not hungry. That's the thing. I haven't been hungry for hours, but I just keep wanting to eat something. My mind just keeps wanting to be on to the next time I'm cooking and preparing food. And I think it's because I'm so used to eating all the time. Always snacking, always in the process of being too full or like getting hungry again, and like already anticipating when the next time to eat is going to be, trying to break down, I guess, just years of, okay, when's the next food, and always being ready to be like, yeah, I can have more, I can just have more. Even when I've been healthy and losing weight, it's like, okay, well now I can have some nuts, or now I have like a little snack or whatever. And then finally you get the reward of the big, next meal or whatever. It's my brain wants me to want to go find food or go make more food, the next food, to engage with this process instead of being satiated, being satisfied, and like having to passively just wait for the next thing. It's kind of hard to deal with. When you've been heavy for most of your life, it's really taxing on your brain to start making some of these changes. I remember, especially in the beginning, feeling like if I could just make these changes, if I could just get it going enough to identify with it, then I could finally start getting closer to the person that I want to be. And that's so exciting in the beginning that you want to be just constantly engaging. For someone like me, you want to just be constantly engaging with it, just constantly trying to work harder and chip away at it. But that gets frustrating because at the beginning, especially, it's just a matter of doing the right thing at the right time and then just waiting. There's a lot of times there's not more to do. It's diet. Everybody has to eat, and you only eat, hopefully, at least now, a couple of times a day, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. And a lot of times there's just nothing to engage with, and it's so hard for you to accept, I've made the change, and now I just have to stop and wait for the next thing. And then on top of that sort of early resentment for who you are and where you are, you wind up with this resentment for the person that you want to be too. Even though logically, in your mind, you know this is going to be like a long journey. But you can't stop asking yourself, why can't I just be further along already? Every little loss or weak moment just puts into perspective for you how early you are in this journey, especially in that first week. Like the first few days feels like your kind of self-hatred is constantly reminding you that you just started and you have so far to go. And it's just a constant reminder, and you just want to be further. You just want to be further along already. And then as you go, there's like this disconnect between the identity you want for yourself and reality. Like you start to make all these good choices, and it starts to be like, okay, I'm doing this. I am a person who eats like this, and who spends their time exercising this much, and who does this many active things through your life. I shop like this, I eat like this, I make choices like this. But then that's not who you see when you look in the mirror. You want to identify with the person who has years of results and a physical appearance like they've been making those choices. And it can seem so unfair when you start getting some momentum and you're making all of those choices and you feel like you're doing the right thing. But then when you look in the mirror, you're reminded that you're not that person. You haven't been that person. And you feel like you're not representing yourself in a way that's rewarding to all of those decisions that you make. Like, it's just not worth it if when I look in the mirror, I still see a fat, overweight, lazy, unhealthy person when I'm making the decisions of a fit, attractive, healthy person who makes those good choices. And then you start really, again, resenting the person that you want to be, because that guy can go to the gym and go make the right choices at the grocery store and eat the right foods, and then look in the mirror and see that person that you wish you were. That guy gets to see that. And when he goes to his doctor, he gets the news that guy gets. Instead of your blood pressure's high, your cholesterol's too high, your triglycerides are too high, and all these things that induce so much fear for people, that guy doesn't have to deal with it. And on the other hand, he can go out and he can drink a dozen beers. He can go out and eat pizza. He can order in food. He can go celebrate his birthday and Valentine's Day and Christmas with his family and his loved ones, and have the chocolate cake, have the cheesecake, have this shit that's terrible for you, drink a couple too many beers, and then he gets to still wake up the next morning being that fucking guy. And meanwhile, I'm making all the right choices, finally. And I know that it's new, and I know that a lot of people are going to see this and be like, yeah, you kind of get what you pay for. You've been living this way, you have to be that person for a while until you fix it. But I'm here making the right choices as, you know, this first month has gone along, and then I wake up and look in the mirror and I'm still that same fucking guy. I know this mindset can be dangerous. I know this isn't the right way to think about it. But these are just some of the things that I've been really fighting against in my first 30 days. With weight specifically, I've tried really hard not to make this a choice about my weight. I've tried very consciously to make this a decision about my overall health, and shifting into that mindset has been helpful. You know, this isn't a constant fight that you fight when you're first starting something like this, but it's relevant enough to talk about. And I think the path to overcoming it is shifting your mindset to the things that are improving now. The inflammation that's improved, the sleep that's gotten better, the blood markers that have improved, the weight that you have lost even, the way that you feel, your energy levels through the day, all of these things, it's so crucial for me at least to keep my mind on them so that I don't get stuck in this mental trap of I hate where I started and I'm jealous of the guy that I want to be. And the other piece is that I know that this is not a linear journey. Weight loss for anybody has never been a linear path. It's hard and it's impossible to just do it in a straight line. But you have to fight for that as much as you can, because that fat, lazy version of myself is like just tucked into a closet and just waiting at the first sign of weakness and a lack of discipline to just come back out. And I'm fighting like hell to keep them away. And all of these struggles are hard enough. The shit is definitely real and it's hard enough, but when you're fighting with your mind, it gets even harder when you have to fight on the physical front too. A lot of these mental struggles that I've been talking about can be true on any diet. Change is really hard, no matter what your opinions on nutrition are. But the carnivore diet specifically, I knew was going to bring about one physical challenge for me that I was absolutely terrified of, and that's gout. For the last 10 years, I have lived in constant fear of gout. I can't imagine being in more pain than I've been in when I had some of my worst gout flare-ups. It's just so unbelievably difficult physically and emotionally to see the people around you see you in such a state of disability. When I was over 400 pounds, I was visiting my parents, and I woke up at 3 a.m. with a gout flare-up so bad that I couldn't stand up. And I had to go to the bathroom, and it's 3 a.m. and I had to crawl on the floor of my parents' house to the bathroom. That, of course, it woke them up because I was 400 pounds, and the look on my mom's face when I saw that was just one of the hardest things that I've ever experienced. She took me to the emergency room, and we got it sorted out, but it was hard. Doctors have told me how to deal with it for a long time. Told me that there are purines in the food you eat and in alcohol that causes your uric acid to get high, and that if you eat foods that are low in purines, it'll be better. And I've done those things, and it hasn't gotten better. So as I was doing my research for carnivore, trying to figure out how to deal with this, when I'm starting to believe that the carnivore diet is the right diet for a human being to eat, and I think it's something that could change my life, how do I reconcile with, they've been telling me for 10 years that red meat in particular and shellfish are the biggest villains for someone with gout. Well, in my research, I came across videos from Dr. Sywin, from Dr. Berry, and these other really great carnivore supporting doctors who are saying, well, hold on, that's not the whole picture. Only like 15% of the purines in your body come from your food, and uric acid actually plays a really important part of your anatomy, your physiology. And maybe we should be looking at it from the perspective of inflammation and insulin resistance. And that got my attention because, again, I already felt like this was the way that people are meant to be eating and that this could change my life. And now I'm hearing that not only is this diet good for improving inflammation and insulin resistance,
but that those things could be the catalyst for all of the pain and suffering that I've had for the last decade. So in the beginning, yeah, every bite of meat that I took was taken in fear. Is this the amount that's going to trigger that next flare up? Now, in the first 2 days, I didn't have any issues, which surprised me a lot. Third day comes, no issues. And then on the fourth day, at night, here it comes. So I took some of my normal gout medicine and it went away. It seemed like it fought it very effectively. And I get all the way through my first week and halfway into my second week with no problems. And I'm like, oh my God, I've done it. The carnivore diet has solved this. I was wrong, because about halfway through my second week, I got one of the worst gout flare-ups I've had in a long time, and I could see it coming. When it started, I knew it was going to be bad. I had been keeping a steroid pack, methylprednisone, in the cabinet for a rainy day, and I took the first day's dose, and I almost quit. I knew that I had some things to figure out, at least. So I did more homework, and I found another Dr. Sywin video where he talks about how it takes a while. It doesn't just turn around. Inflammation and insulin resistance, they don't turn around overnight. The way your body is excreting these uric acid crystals doesn't change overnight, and this is going to take months. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I fucking got months in me. It just, the pain, if you've never experienced it, is so unbelievably bad that at times I would have rather cut my foot off than continue to experience that pain. And so I finished the steroid pack, and in that video, he also recommends doing a routine of daily colchicine, even twice daily at the beginning, to keep those symptoms at bay long enough for the carnivore diet to do its thing. And I'm happy to report that after that flare-up went away, I went to twice daily colchicine, and then daily colchicine, and in my second month I've switched even to every other day. It's fucking working. So I don't know if this is the end of gout for me, but I've seen a lot of testimonials since then of people who've gone on the carnivore diet and gotten rid of their gout symptoms. So for now, with a small amount of medicine, I'm managing to keep the pain away, and I am just praying with everything in me to the lords of gout that I never have to experience that again. Okay, let's talk about some other physical issues. I've been a gym guy for years. Actually, December 11th of 2021 is when I was 404 pounds, and I've been in the gym at minimum 2 or 3 times, at maximum 12 or 13 times per week since December of 2021. One of the big issues that I faced at the beginning of the carnivore diet, in the first week in particular, is I was constantly wanting to engage with this. And that meant to me, half-assing workouts wasn't really going to be an option. I was ready to not only recommit, but recommit with everything I had. And I went back to doing the workouts I was doing when I was in pretty good shape, even though I was still, anywhere from 320 to 380 pounds. I'm strong, and I was ready to go hard in the gym again, and that's what I did for the first 3 days. And then I was in so much pain that I couldn't move for the next several days. And I know a lot of people say they recover faster on the carnivore diet, and that's probably true now. I would say that I don't really get sore now after my first 30 days, but in my first 30 days, I was in so much pain from going too hard that if I were to start over again, I would remind myself to start slowly and build up again, because that was pretty tough. The first 30 days aren't the finish line. I know that it's just a warm up. I know that sometimes, especially while I'm building back to this, I'm gonna feel heavy. I'm gonna need exercises that are not as difficult on my joints. I probably am gonna experience some gout symptoms for the next few months at least, because that's just how it goes in the beginning. But I'm really hoping that it's not quite as difficult as it's been in my first 30 days. If you're thinking about starting the carnivore diet, you're going to hear a lot of success stories. You'll hear people talking about how this way of eating has revolutionized their life, how they feel better than they ever have, how they fix their health markers, and how they've gotten to a weight that they're very happy with. Yeah, the carnivore diet is amazing, and I truly believe it's the fix for some of these deeply painful parts of my history. But in the first 30 days, if you're like me, you're probably going to struggle. Carb addiction is real. Self-resentment is powerful. And gout is really fucking painful. I'm going to read this part because I don't want to mess it up, but I read that a writer named Khalil Gibran once said, "Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars." And man, I feel that. And so if you need help, please reach out. You are definitely not alone in this. And if you're interested in following my journey, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps get the info out to people who need it. And let's be honest, this way of eating is not always easy, but it's always worth it. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.